305 times we see the vowel points of Elohim in the name, and 6,500 plus times we see the vowel points of Adonai in the name. Therefore, we know both vowel points, both sets of vowel points, whether they're written with or without holam, or with or without the full hataf batak or the hataf sagol, either way, that they represent either Adonai or Elohim. It's very convenient that the vowel points just happen to change every time we see Adonai, Yod-He-Uau-He, so that no one will say Adonai, Adonai, and it conveniently changes to Adonai, Elohim. And this again is because that never represented a tradition of the pronunciation of Yod-He-Uau-He, but rather the pronunciation of the euphemism which is prescribed by the Talmud, which is Adonai and sometimes Elohim. In Hebrew, the definite article He, the conjunctive wa, and 4 additional letters act as prefixes. The 4 letters are Bet, which means in, Lamed, which means unto, Kaf, which means like or as, and Mem, which means from. These letters are called inseparable prefixes because they do not stand alone, but are always attached to the beginning of a word. For instance, Melech means a king, but Be-Melech means in a king, La-Melech means to a king, and Kamelech means like a king. If an inseparable preposition is attached to a word whose first vowel is schwa, it will become a hirek. This is the case with the name Shemuel, for example. If it is written to Shemuel, it will read Li Shemuel instead of Le Shemuel. However, a special case is when the inseparable preposition attaches to a word whose first letter is Yod with schwa. The Yod loses its consonantal value and merges with the prefix. Therefore, the inseparable preposition is always pointed with a hirek in these cases. The example of the Hebrew word Jerusalem is perfect to demonstrate. Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, and Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, to Jerusalem, Lerushalayim, in Jerusalem, Berushalayim, as Jerusalem, Kerushalayim, and from Jerusalem, Merushalayim. Another special case is when the preposition is attached to a word whose first letter is a guttural and has a composite schwa, such as we see with the word Adonai. Therefore, we see the word Adonai and Adonai, Wadonai, as Adonai, Kadonai, to Adonai, Ladonai, in Adonai, Badonai, and from Adonai, Me-Adonai. This form doesn't actually appear in the text, but Me-Adonai does, and they have the same exact vowel, so it is a great example. If Yehovah were the authentic vowels, we would expect it to follow the same rules of grammar as Yerushalayim, and other words which begin with Yod and Schwa, such as Wehovah and Yehovah, Behovah in Yehovah, Lihovah to Yehovah, and Mihovah from Yehovah. But we don't. We see the exact same vowel pattern used for Adonai. Here we see Yod-He-Uau-He attached to Wa. The patak vowel, which is normally reduced, reappears here and has been absorbed to demonstrate the exact vowels we see for Wadonai, which means and Adonai. With the letter Bet, we see the patak again. It reappears for Adonai, meaning Badonai, in Adonai. We see this with Holam and also without the Holam. With Lamed, the patak vowel again reappears and stands for Adonai, Ladonai, unto Adonai, with the Holam and without it. With Mem, the vowel Sere is what would appear for Adonai. If Yehovah were correct, it would be a Hirek, therefore representing Adonai. With Holam or without it, we see Medonai. It is very clear, according to the information that has been provided, that there is no way that the Creator's name is Yehovah, and it has been demonstrated that those vowels are in fact the incorrect vowels of the Creator's name. 99% of the Jewish world is going to acknowledge everything I have stated here as a fact regarding the vowels of Adonai being inserted into the text, along with the vowels of Elohim. This is common knowledge. In fact, if one was to look at the official dictionary of the nation of Israel, the Eben Shoshan dictionary, you will see in the entry of Yod-He-Uau-He, you will see two spellings. One that has the spellings with the vowel points of Adonai, and one that has the vowel points of Elohim. And of course, the entry lets us know that when those vowels of Adonai appear, one should read Adonai. But when the vowels of Elohim appear, one should read Elohim. Again, Eben Shoshan was a scholar. He graduated from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. In fact, this is the official curriculum on the subject that is taught from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and this fact can be verified by checking out some of the books that have been written by Emmanuel Tov, who is a PhD, who is a teacher there at the Hebrew University.